Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Wonder why so many advisors who used to hate annuities now are all of a sudden in love with them? Well, as you're about to learn, it's not that advisors hate annuities. What they hate is the way they've always been compensated to sell them. That is until now.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
They're called commissions. That form of compensation a person makes for finding a buyer for the goods and services provided by a seller. Webster's defines commissions this way: a fee paid to an agent or employee for transacting a piece of business or performing a service. Commissions are nothing new and have always been an accepted and fair way of payment to those assisting sellers in the transacting of business with buyers. In fact, in the financial world, up until the creation of the 401k plan some 40 years ago, commissions were the way all advisors got paid. There was no such thing as receiving a recurring fee on other people's money. In 1978, millions of Americans began pouring their hard-earned money into these 401k plans that were offering investments from Wall Street. But since Wall Street had always operated on commissions, and seeing as though the employee contributions were very small into these 401k plans, Wall Street had trouble calculating commissions on the many transactions, so what did they do? They made it easy on themselves. They switched from commissions to a model that included recurring fees, one that paid them a fee whether you did better or whether you did worse, something we in the industry call assets under management, or AUM. The result of this nifty way Wall Street began making money on other people's money has been a bonanza, as we can see the tremendous growth of assets in these 401k plans and the subsequent annual recurring fees they get to deduct from the saver's account. So what's Wall Street's love affair of fees got to do with their recent turnaround, all of a sudden, of loving these products we call annuities? Well, as the old saying goes, let's follow the money. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, the annuity king himself, who for all of the nearly 40 years in this business has loved annuities and, of course, loves commissions. And yes, a retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we share with you why Wall Street hates annuities, is not really about the merits of annuities themselves, but how they have traditionally been paid to sell them through commissions, let me introduce two young lads in the Worry-Free production studios who love producing this show each week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, and Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. Okay, so what's up with this sudden change of heart by Wall Street, who for years has hated annuities, but now appears to be in love with them? According to their recent version of why they love annuities is because the same annuities they have badmouthed for years now can pay them a very profitable, and here's the key point, a recurring fee to sell them. Which begs the question, is an annuity that does not have an upfront commission but charges a recurring fee better for the client or better for Wall Street? What you'll learn today will not only help you understand why Wall Street hates commissions and loves fees, but more importantly, arm you with the right information about annuities and how they can help you and avoid the self-proclaimed financial experts on Wall Street and determining if an annuity is right for you. So stay tuned. I'm Tony Walker. We'll be right back. With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Annuities, a word that gets tossed around a lot with our word for the day, commissions. And as we're about to see, why up until recently Wall Street has always hated annuities. Why? Well, because they've always hated commissions. But to me, I don't really see anything wrong with commissions. If someone is helping me get something I want, why do I care how they get paid in the process? Especially given the fact that in most cases, assuming I'm the buyer, I'm not the one paying for the salesperson's commissions anyway. Take the purchase of a new car from a salesman working for the car dealer. You are the buyer. You don't actually pay the salesperson to assist you in the car purchase. The one selling it, in this case the car dealer, does. As the buyer, you go through a real estate agent. Same thing. The real estate agent assists you in finding a home. You, as the buyer, don't pay their commission when you purchase the home. That's right, the seller does. Well, the same is true for annuities. Annuities, which are issued by insurance companies, they are the seller. But since they don't know how to market annuities, the insurance companies have agreements with people like us who are insurance agents, licensed to sell their products. So, if you buy an annuity from ourselves, let's say Tony Walker Financial, the insurance company is going to pay, they're the seller, remember, they're going to pay us the commission. You, as the buyer, do not. Now, while one might argue that the commission is baked into the cake of the annuity, and you're not actually writing a check to Tony Walker Financial, you might say, well, how are you still going to get paid? Well, of course, we're paid by the insurance company. So why does Wall Street hate commissions? Because earning a commission, quite frankly, is hard work, and you only get paid once. In other words, if I sell an annuity, I got to get out there and start finding other prospects so we can sell more annuities. Otherwise, I don't get to eat lunch that day.
Hey, what's going on, man? Are you having a little lunch?
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, did you get that graphic on fees done yet? We really need it coming up.
Yeah, so I'm still working on it, but I'll have it done, by the end of the day, so.
Okay.
It's much easier to just find people with money, hold on to the money, and like Wall Street loves to do, just charge a recurring fee and hopefully hold on to it for as long as possible. Which is probably why you're wondering why your fee-based advisor tells you to hang in there when the stock market's dropping like a rock. They don't want you to pull that money out because, yes, it's going to affect their bottom line because they charge less in fees if you take the money from them. I hope this is making sense, and why, as the old saying goes, when trying to figure out why people do what they do, usually all you got to do is just follow the money. But now, as we follow the money, we all of a sudden see that Wall Street no longer hates annuities, but loves them. Well, why is this? Because as this article talks about, this former annuity hater even says that now they can charge fees on annuities, whereas in the past, they could only get paid a commission. Now these fee-based annuities fit their model of what's called assets under management, or AUM. In fact, I remember years ago me telling my staff saying this: if Wall Street can figure out how to sell these annuities and make money on them, they'll sell them. Well, today we see that now everybody and his brother, including, those folks on Wall Street, are selling these annuities. Which begs the question, is deducting an annual fee from the consumer's annuity a better deal for the consumer, or is it better for the consumer to pay a one-time commission to the person selling the annuity? Well, I'm going to set this up by way of example. Now, this actually happened. This is a wonderful example. Let me set the stage. Anytime a client wants to do a client review with myself, we're always open to do that. There's never a fee, never a charge to meet with me. Recently, I met with a couple who was actually a client, and we were reviewing their Charles Schwab platform. Now, in this example, they had quite a bit of money with Charles Schwab and were wanting to safeguard some of that money and were interested in something called a multi-year guaranteed annuity, which, as of the date of this recording, was guaranteed at about 5% for 5 years. So basically, they said, well, let's move $100,000 over to the annuity, which we moved it over. Everything was fine. And they kind of laughed and said, well, I bet you're going to make a bunch of money on this transaction. And I said, actually, Mr. Jones, we are not. So what I thought we would do, because again, our theme is our commission's a bad thing, what we're going to prove today is in this example, actually the commissions that were paid to us by the insurance company for the sale of this annuity actually cost less to the client than had we charged fees. So let's take a look at this example. Now, in each example, one would be the one-time commission we charged on the annuity, $100,000 if they left it with TWF, that's Tony Walker Financial, at 0.8%. That's what we were charging on this $100,000. Or if they decided to move it to the other guys. That would be another money manager, let's say, that would charge 1.5% fees on this every year, this $100,000. So also, too, by the way, we're assuming that each of us, the annuity, if we managed it, and also the other guys manage it, let's just assume that over the 5-year period, we all made 4% so we can understand the effects of these fees on this money. So the first year, you're going to see that we made 2.5% commission on this 5-year annuity. Now, granted, sometimes longer-term annuities pay us a much higher commission, but this $2,500 was paid to us by the insurance company. It did not come out of the client's pocket. Had they left it with us that year, we would have made $800. Had they moved that money to the other guys would have charged $1,500 that first year just to manage it. But let's kind of go through year 2. Notice the fees are going up because we're assuming the account balances are growing at 4%. Year 3, yep, we get more fees again. Yep, look at 1.5%, keeps going up. So again, the more you make, the more we and the other guys take. So let's kind of stop here and look at this. Notice that technically nothing has been taken out of the account. The $2,500 was paid directly to us by the insurance company, so the entire $100,000 at 4% interest was working for the client. However, in these two scenarios where annual fees are being deducted, those fees are taken right out of the $100,000. And although it's making money, money is having to be pulled from the account. So what we want to do is we want to, at the end of 5 years, say, okay, what would commissions, the effects have been on my money? What would fees have been? And what would these higher fees with the other guys have been? Well, let's take a look. Notice at the end of the 5th year, we would have $121,000 in the annuity. If we had left it with us and charged 0.8%, had a little less, $116,000. And look at the other guys right there, $112,000. So in summary, by just keeping commissions charged and no fees, if you compare us to the other guys, that's over $9,000, and it also technically cost us several $1,000s that we could have made. So are commissions necessarily a bad thing? Well, in this example, absolutely not. All right, more good stuff coming your way. I'm Tony Walker. You stay tuned. I'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Our Tony in the Trenches is going to be a little different today. We're going to start with this article. Again, if you're just now joining us, the theme is, why in the world is Wall Street all of a sudden selling so many annuities? Well, we know it's because they can charge fees on them. By the way, in 2022, that is true. Annuity sales soared by more than 44%. In fact, at Tony Walker Financial, we experienced a huge increase in the sale of annuities. In 2022, almost selling $80 million of premium in 2022. So these products are for real for retirement planning. But the funny part of this, look at this so-called, what the experts say, Bottom line, I love this. How condescending is this? While retirees may not be experts in the field of annuities, and studies show that retirees feel more secure if they are receiving annuity payments. Now leave this up for a minute. Think about this. They feel more secure. Well, we knew this 20 years ago, folks. That's what happens when you work with literally hundreds and hundreds of retirees such as us. Now, while I don't claim to be an expert in a lot of things, I am an expert in the field of annuities and why savers love the certainty and guarantees. The academic and the experts can do all the studies they want, but when you're working in the trenches with this many savers, folks, we understand these products and we welcome your questions on annuities at any time. In fact, I would encourage you to download this free download. It's called Annuities Made Easy. And if you don't want to download it from the internet, just email Gina@TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's Gina@TonyWalkerFinancial.com. She'll be happy to mail you a hard copy of Annuities Made Easy. Okay, we got about 3 or 4 minutes left. This is how we break up everything. I've changed things over the years. When we're doing retirement planning, I categorize everything into 4 different buckets. We have brokerage accounts, short-term accumulation annuities, long-term accumulation annuities, and what we call income annuities, or as we like to say, mailbox money. So what I'm going to do is basically come over here to the whiteboard. Aaron's going to focus me in here. And again, keeping with our theme, we're imagining you go with Wall Street. Now, again, I don't know what their fees are going to be. You're going to have to ask them this now that they're selling annuities carte blanche. But let's assume they're charging 1.5% in fees. You hand over $500,000 of your money, and like what we've been doing for years, Wall Street's starting to do what we call the split annuity concept. We're seeing this more and more, eerily similar to what we've been doing for years, where they put some money in investments and some money in annuities. Well, the question is, okay, that's all well and good. I don't have any commissions to deal with, but what are the fees? Well, if you took 1.5% times $500,000, assuming that's the fees, you're going to have to pay them, whether you do better or not, $7,500 per year. That's per year in fees. That's a lot of fees. No wonder they hate commissions. Now we come over here to Tony Walker Financial, okay, and this might be a typical example of how we do our split IRA concept. We might put $200,000 with Charles Schwab. We charge 0.8% on whatever money is there at Schwab. And then let's say we decide to do some accumulation annuities. Maybe we don't even do an income annuity. And currently, these accumulation annuities, there are no fees charged whatsoever. This accumulation annuity right now pays 2.5%. This one pays about 6%. Now you say, gosh, those are pretty good commissions, Tony. Is that what you all earn on those products? Yes. But you got to remember, again, if you've been watching the show, the seller, the insurance company, pays our commissions. That's kind of baked into the cake. That does not come out of your contract. Obviously, if you surrender these contracts prior to the term, you got some problems, and we can talk about that. But assuming you keep them to term, those commissions are paid to us. There are no fees, no out-of-pocket cost. So taking this out to its logical conclusion, what would your annual fees be with Tony Walker Financial, not only handling the investments, but overseeing all of the retirement planning? Folks, the retirement planning services we offer come at no charge. Our service is out the roof, and we promise you we're going to take care of your plans for retirement, not just at the time of the sale, but long into the future. So what are we going to charge on this? Well, since there's no fee on this particular contract, no fee on this particular contract, 0.8 of $200,000 is $1,600 a year. Let's see, that's a fee savings of whatever that is, five grand? Is that $5,000, Aaron? $6,000, about $6,000. So let me ask you something. What could you do with an extra $6,000 in savings? Well, you're not going to know until you find out what the fees are that you're currently paying versus those at Tony Walker Financial. So here's what I would suggest. Right now, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Take advantage of our free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. Find out more about how we operate, and if it merits, we will meet with you in person. That's right, the owner of the company at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So log on TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or if you like, just call the number on your screen. Well, back in Jesus' day, they didn't have electronic transfers of money and taxation the way we do. They actually sent out people by the name of tax collectors. Talking about people hated back in those days. We're going to find about an exchange between a tax collector and Jesus and how the invitation to this tax collector changed his life forever. I'm Tony Walker. Let me get a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Bob Graves.
And I'm Marge Graves, and we live in Louisville, Kentucky.
We're both Vietnam veterans, and really Vietnam is probably what brought us together.
When I volunteered to go to Vietnam, I was 24 years old, and I was a captain. When Bob Hope and Sammy Davis Jr. came over to entertain, they picked a doctor and a nurse that were serving in Vietnam to be their medical team that would travel with them. I came home in January. I had already done the Bob Hope show, and I was going to do Sammy Davis when I got back. And the Courier found out that I had done the Bob Hope show. Then they put a half-page story about my experience in Vietnam and about the Bob Hope show and put a picture of me in the paper. 2 weeks after I got back to Vietnam, I got a letter from a Louisville boy.
I remember it was like a Sunday edition or something, and I'm not sure why I even picked it up. It was, kind of one of these destiny things, and picked it up and saw her picture and read the article and just, sent a brief note about thanking her for what she did in Vietnam.
And so we started writing, and we started writing every day. And all of a sudden we were kind of falling in love. 6 months later, after I got out of the military, we got married. Even though we've been married for 50 years, he still is my best friend, so.
Well, I retired in 2008. Marge retired in, 2007. So we've been retired for quite a while now.
And we like it.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
When we first met with Tony, we brought in all of our financial information. And he took a couple of days to look through it and gave us solid advice on where we were, where we would probably be in the future, recommendations that we would have. We
opened up our financial books to Tony, and he went through everything very thorough and came up with a game plan that we still adhere to. I think the game plan is the key. If in life you need a game plan, and definitely in retirement. So.
Did you know that you can watch the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money anytime you want? The show's called The WorryFree Retirement. It's hosted by Tony Walker, and it's available on YouTube. All you got to do is go to youtube.com, and right there in the search bar, type in Tony Walker Financial, and you'll see Tony's smiling face. Click on that and you're going to find all types of video content. Again, that's youtube.com, Tony Walker Financial.
In a similar fashion as to how the financial world makes money on other people's money through fees and commissions, the government is in a similar fashion the way it makes money, by taxing money in one of two ways: commissions and recurring fees. For instance, drive your car across the bridge connecting Indiana to downtown Louisville, you pay a toll, which is essentially a one-time commission paid to the government for the use of that bridge. Fair enough. The other tax that to me appears to be less fair and eerily similar to the way we in the money management business get paid is through recurring taxes taken out of your paychecks and out of your investments. Today, taking our money by collecting taxes is easy due to the technology to electronically deduct it right out of our paycheck or from, of course, our investments. But not so in Jesus' day. Back then, since there was no technology to automatically take their fair share, the government hired people called tax collectors who earned commissions on the taxes they collected from the people, and in many cases, these tax collectors took more than they were supposed to take. In fact, their job was held in such disdain that most were despised by the people in which they taxed, which is why this story in the Bible about a tax collector by the name of Zacchaeus is so interesting. We pick up our story when Zacchaeus gets wind of the fact that Jesus will be traveling through his town. As Jesus approaches, Zacchaeus, trying to see over the crowd, climbs up into a tree and lo and behold, sees Jesus. As Jesus approaches toward the direction of Zacchaeus, Jesus does the unthinkable. He calls Zacchaeus out of the tree and, much to the chagrin of the angry and jealous crowd, invites Zacchaeus to dine with Jesus for supper. Overjoyed that the Son of God would dare spend time with a lowly tax collector, Zacchaeus responds to Jesus' invitation the way any sinner should. He welcomed Jesus joyfully. In fact, he was so thankful that Jesus included him in his dinner plans that he offered to do what most people in the day did when they're forgiven for their sins. He paid back to those he had overcharged fourfold. Jesus responds to the gratitude and joyful response expressed by Zacchaeus in his change of heart. He gives Zacchaeus something money can't buy: eternal life. So, Tony, what does a hated tax collector collecting more than his fair share have to do with me and all the taxes I'm going to owe on my 401k plan and all these other investments? Well, friend, this exchange between a sinful tax collector and the Savior of the universe ties right into the verse we covered in Hebrews recently, and how that joyful experience needs to be produced from the seizure of our property. You know, some 30 years ago, I, like Zacchaeus, was miraculously asked to dine with Jesus, and I haven't looked back ever since. In fact, feasting on God's Word has taught me that money is merely a temporary tool on this temporary journey we call life. And best of all, when I dine with Christ, I actually have the freedom and the liberty to enjoy the money I've worked so hard to earn, and I enjoy it even more. No more guilt trip gospel, no more worrying about what the dollar will be worth in the future. No, I'm just thankful and glad I have hope in something after this life, something I can truly rejoice in. And so if you're still up in the tree looking for joy, maybe climb on down and accept the invitation to dine with Jesus by reading His Word, because I assure you, when you feast on that, the worries of the world will begin to fade away. And that, my friend, is some really good news you can take to the bank. Amen? Well, how about you? Are you ready to climb down from that financial tree called the 401k plan and start doing some real planning with it? Maybe for the first time in your life, you are intrigued by these products called annuities and want to learn the truth about them and whether annuities might be a good fit for you. Or how about this? Maybe now you know why Wall Street loves these things called fees and why they keep telling you to hang in there when your account's dropping like a rock. Well, I've got something we can do right now, something you can take action with, and it's called the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. And here's how easy it is to learn more about our services at Tony Walker Financial. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You're going to see that little red bar there, and you can click on that, and that'll take you to a page, and confidentially, you'll provide your information to us. We will arrange a phone call with myself or one of our highly trained salaried fiduciaries. Then after this brief phone call, if it warrants, we will be happy to meet with you at no cost, no obligation, at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So do it now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or if you prefer, just call the number located on your screen. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's program, but you remember, between now and the time I see you next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.